All right, students. I'm going to do Lab 2.12 lab name format, and I wanted to walk through this. I won't be able to host a meeting Saturday, so I figured I'd help you out with some of your challenging labs. So taking a look at 2.12 this week, lab name format. It's asking you if the input is, and the user inputs their last name, uh, their full name, right, or whatever, and it wants you to take that data and come up with an output that's last name, first initial, middle initial. Or if the user doesn't have a middle name, you have to account for that type of input and come out. So I've pre-formatted in the lab exercise one of my solutions. This is a solution that'll work, but this isn't the best solution, and I wanted to break that down. I figured it'd really help you out this week. So if you see here, uh, I'm taking the user input, I'm splitting it, I'm running it through a len, and we'll get more into what these do. And then I'm taking that and using if and essentially else, elif, right? Uh, then the user inputs either 3 or the user inputs 2, and I'm taking that and I'm directly splitting it, and then I am hard formatting how I want the outcome to be. Now this is not efficient, right? This is a path to do it, and you can tell a lot of code to achieve the same thing in a few lines. All right, so the first step is you definitely need your user input. They need to input the name, so you need to take that from the person. Hey, please go ahead and input that. Sorry, it's 4 in the morning for me. Couldn't sleep. All right. Next up, I'm going to call it tokens. Why am I calling it tokens? It's an easy term when you break it apart like we're going to. You could call it whatever you want. But a token is just a common term. So my tokens is going to equal my user input and then so basically here's why I call it tokens, right? It's because I'm splitting it and I'll have a number of whatever I split it. So I'll have 1 token or 2 token for the program to reference. I really don't care all too much with that. I know what the data is, but I don't care. All right. Uh, Again, you saw the if and elif, same situation. We're going to run an if statement. You're going to run it through a len. So that's an important one right there. This week, your book should have delved into len. What is the len doing? Essentially, just a len returns the number of items in an object. So this code is going to parse you see how our tokens is our user input. So it's going to take that and it's going, because we split it, right? It's going to parse it and say, hey, how many items are in that? Is essentially what we're asking it to do. So you need to assign it. Otherwise, it wouldn't know to look at that. So I'm going to assign it tokens. Uh, Now, our solution up here is talking about the user either has 3 inputs or the user either has 2 inputs. And again, using the len, we can tell if the user inputted just his first name, first, second. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't know what it is, but it would know there's just 1 name in there. There's first name, last name. There's 2, or there's 3. So we need to validate if, for the program, the path it's looking at, your script, a true statement to say, hey, use this statement if this is this. So essentially, this is going to give us our true. Our double equal sign is essentially a true or false. Uh, first path, it's easy to say either 2 tokens in what we split, and we check the len. And if there's 2, use this path for the script. Uh, see how it indented automatically. So your print lines, if they're associated to your if and else, will always be indented for proper formatting. All right, so back to, so 2, our output is last name, comma, initial, and a period. All right, so let's talk about formatting. You saw up above, or the previous one, I used a straight if and elif, and I used a straight print statement that was hardwired with no formatting. The formatting command is essentially a complex way to take like string formatting and easily produce it down for efficiency. And when you write formatting, you use curly brackets for storage containers, right? So essentially, I'm going to throw in empty containers that I want to format into it. So let's start with that. All right, so that will be my placeholder for the last name. And then I need a comma, per the prompt. Another placeholder for the initial. And then you need to put that period in. So the easiest thing to do, so we're editing the placeholder commands. We're throwing period actually in. So that period, I just put it straight into the program. It'll always fall there, right after the second output. And for this, remember there's only 2, so 1, 2, that's where our 2 tokens are going to go. Period to the last name, and now we have to write the format that we actually want to apply. So this is where referencing that tokens again makes it so much easier. So I'm looking at one token. I'm just looking for, nope. Alright, shit, there we go. So why did I use 1? Remember, Python is a 0 index language, and we're pulling the last name. So when I split it, I'm going to have Julia Clark, right? I'm going to know 1, 2. I want to jump to my second one to pull and put in my first formatted part of the script. So right here is what it's actually printing, right? And then the other part, we're writing out exactly how to put what we want into those, pulled from what we split here, our token, and validated to be true down this if line. So in here, Clark should print out. Next up, we need to essentially take Julia, pull it to that one. However, as you notice, the J, so again, you need to pull it where you're only pulling the first character. Uh, 0, 0. Yeah, 0, 0. All right. Yeah, so I'm taking the first one and then I'm pulling the first letter and sticking it there. Remember, 0 would be the first letter. So Julia, yep, should pull Julia, should pull the J, and then again we hard formatted the period in there. So I just need to close it up. Oops. And then on to the second half. What if the user has 3? And yes, you can use if statements. There's no reason for an else in this one. Because you're validating if this is true. If this is true. It just knows, it's checking, is it true, is it true. In an if and else, you're saying if this is not true, or essentially if this is not what you want for your path, then else you will use this path, right? So it'll check all that. In this statement, we're just saying if this is true or if this is true, use this. So again, len, we want to len our variable tokens out, and we want to check this to 3. So what if the user inputs first name, middle name, last name? Print, create the same curly cube brackets again. Let me go make sure I'm, yep, comma on it. And we got a double period in there. So, comma. I was just thinking, you know, how I forward with the double period, but I'm pretty sure. More or less, I'm looking at this. Because I needed to also end each one so the token's new, hence the period. Shouldn't pull either of those. Alright, again, format. We're formatting tokens. So, if the user can have 3 inputs, there's going to be 3 token, or 2, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. The 3 tokens that will be. So now we need to, and again, this one's going to pull from the third one, the last name, and stick it in that one because we're not breaking it down anymore to the formatting. We're just saying take that third one on the len and stick it there because it's our first one in our formatting pipeline, right? So next up, we need to format another token. So formatting our next token is asking us to Pat, take the first name, first initial, so 00, 0, right? 00, 0 to that token. All right, one more token for that middle name. So how are we going to get to the middle name? Well, we are going to go 1 over from the first name, and then take that. Remember, 0 would be the first one on it, so 1, 0 would get us to where we need to go. Alright, let me check. Yeah, I got my user input. I'm taking my token, I'm splitting it. That matches up. Running through, lending out my token. I'm either coming up with 2 or 3 for my true, formatting for my print. So really, I'm just concerned with my periods and trying to remember right, but let's check it. Format token. I don't believe that's where my failure is. Line 5. Yeah, I must have screwed up. Is that the period? Alright, trying to see what it's trying to highlight out to me, but I don't think. Yeah, definitely not that. Close my damn line. I'm looking at it right? Yeah. Just checking my code.